everybody, I'm Karyn Bryant here with
Angela Overkill Hill.
And this is
What happened was. I didn't want to ruin it by I already forgot.
I know, we're getting good at it. I'm starting to remember the right way of doing the H. Pow, kapow. What had happened was episode 12, so thank you so much for joining us. Before we get too far into things, if you are hearing this for the first time, like I said, it's number 12, so you can go back and find 11 other episodes. We are on the Karyn Bryant channel on YouTube. We are on Angela Overkill Hill's IGTV. We are on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts as well, so you can find us a lot of different places. So, Ange, there were fights this weekend, but you were traveling with your teammates. So maybe you can tell us what happened because
what happened out there?
Yeah, what had happened with your teammates' fight?
Man, it was rough, man. I was traveling out there with my husband, who's been coaching a lot more lately, and Wilson Hayes, who's been cornering me, a teammate for a long time since I came to Alliance. And Wilson Hayes has been in the UFC. He got, I don't think he got cut. I think he just didn't get his contract re-signed. Right. And it was right around that time where they were thinking about canning all the flyweights. So he was on the chopping block. And then they brought the flyweights back. So he's kind of in this resurgence, trying to get back into the UFC or anywhere really that's going to, let him make that money. Yeah. So we went to this promotion in Mexico City. And unfortunately, he looked great warming up. He looked great the entire week, but he got hit with the first punch that was thrown. Literally the first punch that was thrown. He got dropped. It was a good punch. It was a really big overhand right. He got dropped, but he woke up as soon as he hit the floor, and he's waiting for the guy to jump in his guard, yo, what's up?
Let's go.
The guy comes running, he blocks it, grabs for the guy's leg, and starts to do his half guard thing, and the ref stops it. And we're no! We were freaking out when he got dropped, but then when he started moving and grabbing the leg, we're okay, he's good, let's go, and then the ref stops it. So I don't it was really upsetting because we saw the ref was chilling with the opponent beforehand, and we knew the card was stacked. We knew there are a lot of people from that gym on the card, and it's a new promotion, and I don't know. I just felt maybe the ref didn't know what he was looking at. Maybe he didn't realize that Wilson was waiting for the guy to attack and not just out dead on the ground. So yeah, it sucks. It's just one of those things where you hate to see your friend prepare and look great, and then the outcome ends that fast, and it almost feels unfair the way it ends too. If he just got beat up for a few 30 seconds, then it'd be okay, yeah, they stopped it. But the fact that the ref didn't allow him to work once he was back and ready to go, then it sucks. And I don't know, with the guys, it's so easy to get dropped, I had a conversation with a couple of guys, and they said they haven't had one fight where they haven't lost a couple seconds in the fight, because guys are hitting hard, they're getting hit in the face. Some people play it off better than others, but yeah, it's really rough out there. So yeah, I was just bummed. But the good thing is Wilson is just the greatest person ever. He's such a good martial artist. He wasn't bummed out. Of course he was sad about the outcome and sad that he didn't get to perform, but he has such a positive outlook on everything. He's just yeah, it is what it is. We move on to the next. I'll go back. I'll fix my mistakes, fix my one mistake that I made for half a second, and just tighten things up and on to the next. So he's a G, and it's really cool to see him just pick himself up and still go out and party afterwards and have a good time, and not be too bummed out to go see the pyramids the next day. He's still I'm gonna live my life. I'm not gonna let this get me down. So that was good. Really cool to see.
Yeah, that's good. And I've known Wilson, like you said, he is a former UFC fighter. I met him, I think, before he was even in the UFC. I know he's from Philly. He was teaching jiu-jitsu back in Philly before and all this. And so I've known Wilson for a while. Maybe I met him in Elite XC or Strike Force or something like that. So I do know what you're talking about. It is kind of a bummer that it happened to him, but I'm glad he has such a positive outlook. And I should say, folks, Angela is once again in fight camp, so she has to refuel and eat when she can here because
Sorry.
this woman just got back from Mexico. She's going to Vegas tomorrow with her teammate Jessica. So she's got her own fight coming up, and so there's a lot to go and there's a lot to unpack. But it's interesting, Angela. I wanted to talk about not only the Kevin Holland and Vettori fight, and also Mackenzie Dern's win. There's a few things from Saturday that I wanted to talk about. But honestly, while we're talking about Wilson and the referee stoppage, I can't help but kind of dive into a little bit of the Eddie Alvarez situation over at ONE because the other night we saw Demetrius Johnson lose a fight by a knee knockout. Knees are legal there, and so DJ lost his fight due to a knee, and it was legal. It was brutal. I mean, that it is what it is, right? Meanwhile,
nasty.
Right, nasty. But again, DJ's the same kind of guy like Wilson. He's like, well, whatever, that sucked, but I'm just going to move on. And DJ does, he's the GOAT for the fly, so he has nothing to prove. But what's really funky about that whole situation, and it was a big deal, and it was going to be one on TNT, and Chatri's such a good leader. Like, they had so much, hope for this. And with Eddie's fight, it gets stopped DQ because of hits to the back of the head. And it's a really hard thing for a lot of people to swallow, I think, to see Eddie disqualified for hits where literally the ref said something to no, that one's okay, that's not. But he's right there in front of the ref, basically sort of going, is this okay, is this not okay? And then the ref all of a sudden decides after a couple that that's a DQ now. But meanwhile, when you see on the same fight card, Demetrius take a full knee, and that's legal, people have a lot of issues with Eddie. Eddie was obviously very distraught after. He's had a DQ situation before, we know, and I don't think he's a dirty fighter, so I think it's really problematic that fight got stopped. A lot of people talk about hey, you're punching me, I turn my head, it's the back of the head, it's the back of the head, it's the back of the head. So you being the fighter, I want your take on this because in the heat of the moment, I understand why sometimes a punch may land in the back of the head, but it seemed like Eddie was trying to do everything right in accordance with the referee to make sure he wasn't going to get disqualified.
Yeah, that guy knew what he was doing. He was playing the game. Same way people do the oh, I'm grounded.
Demo time.
Oh, I'm grounded. Oh, I'm grounded. Same way people do that. That's what that guy was doing. He was like, oh, you want to punch in my face? Oh, you can't punch me. Oh, punch me. Oh, you can't punch me. And you can't, that shouldn't be a way out. That shouldn't be a way to avoid getting punched in the face by presenting an illegal blow where your face should be use your hand to block the punch, don't use the back of your head and try to make some controversial stoppage. I've never been the type of fighter who would resort to that. I feel like I would rather get kneed in the face than play the game and expect my opponent to respect that I'm grounded, because first of all, that's the easiest way to get brain damage, expecting your opponent to adhere by rules.
Sure.
You have to protect yourself at all times. And if the bell rings and they're still coming at you, don't drop your hands. That bitch is gonna hit you, if the bell rings and they're still coming at you, you have to continue to protect yourself. Same with the legal blows. If they're aiming for the back of, or if they're aiming at your face and you present the back of your head, don't expect them to just not punch it. If things are in motion, it's hard for me to go halfway through the punch oh shit, that's the back of their head, and that's kind of what that guy was doing. That's what Eddie's opponent was doing. So it is really disappointing because he wasn't trying to cheat. He was just trying to punch him in the face, and the guy kept hiding his face and showing the back of his head, and that's why it was really unfair that's what happened. And I mean, of course, Eddie could have just stopped punching him in the face, but he's trying to win that fight, his last fight didn't go so well. So he's trying to win. He wants to put this guy out, and he's in a good position to do so. So yeah, I felt really horrible for Eddie with that thing. And I mean, DJ, he kind of got a little karma there when he was giving Aljo crap for eating that knee and just saying hey, the knees to the ground, the opponent should be legal. But that's the cool thing about those knees. Like I like them for one. I think they should be legal. I'm a striker, so that's probably why. But I think they should be legal. It's really frustrating that just because a person's hand is on the ground means you can't knee him in the head anymore. Like I feel like it's a fight. We can do everything else. Why can't we do that? And the fighters would protect themselves and not try to play the game because they know, oh shit, a knee might come and hit me in the face. So I like knees to a grounded opponent. But yeah, I don't think it was fair that Eddie's fight got stopped and he got DQ'd. If anything, they should have given him a hard warning. Hey, hit the back of the head again and you're DQ'd. Then Eddie would have just stopped trying to hit him in the face because he knew this guy was playing dirty.
Also, the flip side of it, you could have said, bro, we see what you're doing here by flipping the back of your head. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, there could have been a little bit of a break. But yeah, I agree. It's unfortunate that Eddie got DQ'd without some kind of warning before that. It's funny, too, that you mentioned the knees because there did seem to be a moment in your last fight where you almost threw one. You came real close. And everyone's like, no, don't do it. Because I think it was the same time Eric Anders had just thrown that illegal one. And then, of course, there was
he did it after me.
Yeah. Right. And so we're just like, don't do it. And I can see that while you're in motion, that probably is really difficult to stop. But I guarantee you, Angie, your mom doesn't want to see you take any knees to the ground.
My mom doesn't have to worry about that. I'm going to be the one throwing the knees. And I guarantee you she wants to see that happen because she's always like, okay, so I know you have a fight. So this time, can you knock her out in the first? Because I really hate watching you fight like more than 2 rounds.
I agree.
So I think my mom would be down.
Yeah, well, it's funny because like I've always said, for people who, if this is the first time you're hearing this, I'm an anchor for UFC. And so a lot of the time I have active fighters at the desk with me, and it's always very stressful when they are fighting. And so like, I'm always like, hey, knock them out fast. First round knockout. That'd be great. Don't take any damage, that kind of thing. It does make me nervous. So let's talk about Vettori and Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland had another main event. He took Marvin was supposed to fight Darren Till. And we'll get some more Darren Till stuff in a minute on the show here. But Marvin was supposed to fight Darren Till. Unfortunately, Darren broke his collarbone, I believe it was. And so Kevin Holland stepped in 3 weeks ago. Kevin had a fight with Derek Brunson. He lost every round. Basically, Derek put him on his back and basically exposed the weakness. Even though Kevin is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, there's a difference between wrestling and there's obviously different nuances there. And Kevin didn't win that fight with Derek. Derek is very good. So Kevin comes around, he comes with Marvin Vettori, who is usually more of a striker. Marvin ends up putting him on his butt too, on his back rather, which was very smart. And so Marvin Vettori won the fight. He was frustrated he didn't get a finish. He really wanted to. But once again, Kevin Holland lost a fight because of his inabilities on the ground. And I'm not trying to harsh on him. He came out and said after the fight that maybe he should go to Russia, something like that, right? Train with Khabib, that kind of thing. So I have a few things on this, but I want to know your take. First and foremost, I think Kevin has nothing to worry about. Like he won 5 fights last year. He's still a star. But yeah, he now knows what he's got to work on. So it's unfortunate that he got exposed kind of in front of a lot of people. But at the same time, win or learn, right? So now he knows what he needs to work on. He needs to work on maybe the nuances. So maybe you can explain why somebody can be great at jiu-jitsu but still lose to a wrestler.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Vettori is a really good wrestler. I think Brunson is a better wrestler, but Vettori does a good job of hiding his closing the distance. Like he likes to like punch in and then get like around his waist or get to the legs and push him up against the fence and then drag him down in some way. And the way you close the distance is by throwing big punches. So Vettori is great at closing the distance. He's great at pressuring, and that's what he did to Holland. And Holland being a really good striker, really good submission artist as well. A lot of times when you have a striker that's like a striker who can grapple, they forget the middle part, which is the wrestling part. So whenever people are clenched up, like that's wrestling, clenched up against the fence, that's wrestling. When someone grabs for your legs and then you fall over, that's wrestling, and like Holland I don't think I've ever seen him sprawl. You know,
Right. No, he doesn't.
As soon as someone's in on his legs, he's like, all right, we're going to jiu-jitsu now. Let me try to get some like cool sweep or something. And the thing is with sweeps, they're kind of like Muay Thai sweeps. Like they work the first time. Then your opponent's wise to it, and they base out when they feel you going for it or trying to like rock you or move you or whatever. So a lot of Holland's ways to get up weren't working against Vettori, especially after the first round. Yeah, you just gotta close that gap. Like wrestling is so important to MMA. Like you see, almost all the champs are wrestlers, you know, and it's rare that you have someone who can just strike and stay on their feet and hit the wrestler. He's the only one. Who else is able to do that? You know, like a Whaley is actually a really good wrestler. We saw like excellent like counter wrestling and stuff in her fights up to before she became champion. I can't think of any right now who aren't good wrestlers who have shown that they're really good wrestlers. So it's a really important skill to have. And Holland doesn't have that yet. Like you can see it. You can see it in the wrestling exchanges. He doesn't have wrestling yet. He did take down Brunson.
Yes.
In the last round.
He did
take down Brunson, but he doesn't believe in it. Like you can tell it's just uncomfortable for him.
Right.
He's not into the wrestling idea. He'd rather stick and move and be loose and whatever.
That's true.
So yeah, it's definitely a gap that a lot of fighters have to figure out how to fill. I think it would be amazing if he went to Dagestan and just like trained with Khabib for like 9 months or 9 weeks or whatever he said, and immersing yourself in that place that makes you uncomfortable is the best way to get over it. Like that's what I had to do, and I'm still working on it. But my takedown defense has gotten way better just because I'm always in wrestling class. I'm always like drilling my sprawls, drilling my off balances, drilling how to get off of the fence, noticing when someone's changing level and what to do when they change level. Like there's a lot of nuances to it. And then also what happens when you do get taken down, how to get back up immediately. And one thing I noticed with Holland is that he was pretty content to stay on his back. Like at no point did he just like sit up and try to work over to the fence and use his back against the wall like that. And that's like 101 for like striker who doesn't want to wrestle, striker who doesn't want to grapple. Get your back to the wall and start working up there, because the wall is like your buddy helping
support,
up,
right?
Like, hey, let's get back in the fight, So that's one thing I noticed when Holland was fighting, because I really wanted him to win. I felt like he had the tools to beat Vettori. Is just like Vettori's game plan, his belief in his game plan was really strong. He's really like gone after that wrestling striker game plan ever since the Adesanya fight. And he saw the blueprint with Brunson and was just like, I'm going to do that. And he did it perfectly. So yeah, you saw him get a little tired, a little pieced up at the end, but Holland definitely needs to work on getting that back to the fence and working his way up, or just give his opponents a little wrestling to look at themselves.
Well, I would say the example of a champion who didn't have wrestling would be Francis Ngannou now, the heavyweight champ, who lost the first time he tried to fight Stipe because Stipe out-wrestled him, because Stipe is a great wrestler. So Francis has learned over the years that's what his weakness was. We saw in this last fight with Stipe, Francis sprawled a couple times, even started to do some offensive wrestling, right, where everyone's like, okay, pump the brakes, slow down, yeah.
Right, he was like, bam, bam, I'm on your back wrestling you. Dude, I was so impressed. It was amazing.
Right. But so that's a perfect example of somebody who knew they didn't have it, who could obviously stop a bus with a punch, but you can out wrestle him and you can win. So I hope Kelvin does develop that skill set. It would be a trip to go see him in Dagestan. I've been to Russia twice, and I've been to, okay, so, but he will stand out. Let's just say that. Speaking from experience.
You think they can handle him? You think they can handle Kelvin out there?
I think they will love him. Kevin's such a likable guy. Really hard not to like him. Kevin was up against, Marvin. Marvin is a Kings MMA guy. People know Kings are my guys. So I actually am very happy for him and Hoffa and the team. And I'm also not surprised at Marvin. Marvin, when he fought Israel Adesanya before. He was the first person to take Israel to the third round. He did score a takedown on him in the third round. So you know that Marvin had that, and he's really been evolving. When you also look at the teammates he can work with, Beneil Dariush is somebody that he can grapple with all the time. So, granted, Beneil is a jiu-jitsu guy, but when we talk about those transitions, all those places, Verdum is a guy from Kings. Like, Marvin has the opportunity to train with incredible grapplers. So, yeah, it's not surprising that he's well-rounded. I'm wondering what you think should be next for him, though. Obviously, he was supposed to fight Darren Till, who was ranked, and that would have, made more of an impact for Marvin moving forward. This coming weekend we have Whittaker versus Gastelum. There's a lot of opportunity in the middleweight division right now, and Marvin is making a really good argument. The last person he beat was Jack Hermanson. So I'm curious where you think he should be.
Man, it's hard to say. Like, I mean, you can't argue against someone in a title shot, but I just don't think people want to see it. Like, nobody wants to see that. Like,
but it's a rematch. There's some sizzle to it, I suppose.
There's a lot of rematches on the table, right? Like the Whittaker Gastelum fight. Whoever wins that could go. That was an insane fight, him versus Gastelum. I mean, the Whittaker fight was amazing too. Whittaker had his moments. So any of those guys, I feel like whoever really makes the biggest statement out of the three of them could fight for the title next. Or they could fight each other. Like, Vettori hasn't gone up against either of those guys yet. So he could take the winner of that fight and then fight for the title. Winner of that fight fights for the title. So we can go boom, 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 do it like that, especially if...
well, he can't fight Kelvin, though, because they're teammates.
Oh, no way. Okay.
They're both Kings guys. So that's the thing that's a little dicey.
But we've seen it happen before.
That will make my heart hurt if those two had to fight. I mean, unless it's for the strap.
That's the pot stirrer. You don't ask that question though. Leave it to Helwani. He can ask them like, Vettori, would you fight your boy for the chance at $1 million or whatever it is to fight for the title?
It's tough. It's tough. Well, there are a lot of opportunities, and we may as well just ask, obviously Whittaker wasn't supposed to be fighting Kelvin Gastelum either, right? So there's been a lot of, different things going on, and Kelvin is jumping in and getting this opportunity. And, Kelvin's had a little bit of a tough time lately, but we know that he arguably gave Israel Adesanya the best fight, right? The closest fight when they were both fighting for that vacant title. So I don't like how a lot of people are kind of down on Kelvin right now. And there were times when I don't know that his head was on right necessarily, but I think it is. The fight over, Fight Island, losing to Darren Till. I mean, people lose to Darren Till. It's not that. Mm-hmm. So I'm just, I'm a huge Whittaker fan though too. So this one tears me up because I was in Australia when he won Smashes, Tough Nations, and we. Or was that one Smashes? That was Smash. Yeah, that was England versus Australia.
Yeah.
Just knew you could see it in him from such a young age. So these are two people that I really think are wonderful. It's hard not to argue that Whittaker does have more momentum now, though. Even though he had that long break, he's come back and looked good. So I don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just want to see an exciting fight. I would hate for Izzy to go down with another heavy wrestler who just holds him down and stills the fight that way. And I think Vettori can do it. I really do think that he can take Adesanya down. He's a big guy, big, muscly, not tall, but just bally shoulders, he can't even throw a straight punch really unless it's a cross. Everything else comes out brah, So and it's just because he has so much muscle. He's so big. So I'm sure when Holland felt him lock up, he was like, oh man, here we go again. Dude is strong, and I feel like he could do what Blachowicz did to Adesanya. The game plan is there, like you said. That lean back uppercut was exposed because it is an opportune time to shoot on him when he does that lean back big punch. So if he doesn't get knocked out, which, I mean, those neck muscles, they're keeping his chin intact. Like that head isn't moving when he gets punched. He just goes.
Yeah.
I can see him beating Adesanya. I really can, but I just don't think the fans want to see that fight because of that, and because it could be a snoozer. So we'll see. I think. I mean, if we were gonna do like merit based, I feel like Vettori would be a good match. I feel like Adesanya is really just gonna have his pick of the litter when he's ready to fight again.
Yeah.
So we'll see who stands out. I think Gastelum would probably be the most exciting rematch. Right. But Whittaker could be too. And I really like Whittaker because he's a gamer too.
Well, I love Whittaker too. And also when they fought before, wasn't that like right when he was kind of at the tail end of his, like before he took the break, right? He was burnt out. Like he fully admitted he was totally burnt out. Didn't want to go to the gym, didn't want to train, and when he came back to Fight Island, he was renewed and reinvigorated. And I misspoke before, Angela. Kelvin lost to Jack Hermanson on Fight Island. It was Whittaker who fought Till. Yeah. So it was my bad. I don't want people in the comments, oh, no. Because I was like, no. It was right. It was the wrong one. But when Whittaker came back,
totally
I know, we were talking to him, and he was like, yeah, no, I didn't even want to go. I didn't want to train. I didn't want to do anything, And so now he's renewed. So I think that Whittaker 2021 would give Israel a baller fight. I think it would be great. But obviously we know Kelvin will give him a great fight too.
Yeah. So we'll see who comes out on top, and I think either of those guys people are gonna want to see before Vettori, unfortunately, because you know how MMA fans are. Nobody likes a wrestler who goes to decision. Like unless they're Khabib who like goes in there and takes him down and talks shit while they're hitting him and finishes him. Yeah. People get bored by wrestlers, and that's kind of what Vettori has going on after his last like few fights. So I think when it comes to popularity, he's gonna lose it to one of those guys. He'll probably have to fight another guy before he gets asked for the title shot. But yeah, we'll see what happens. You never know. And with the COVID pullouts, you never know who's going to get that title shot.
You never know.
Anyone can get the title shot. I can get the title shot.
You can get the title shot, right. Because there's also Costa's in there, but that, injuries Cannonier. So there's a couple of guys, too, that are also highly ranked that could make interesting matchups that he hasn't fought that maybe are out due to injury and stuff right now. But I'm curious what else kind of stood out from you from Saturday. I don't know, Nina Nunes was back after giving birth, and she fought Mackenzie Dern. So we had two mamas in there throwing down, which was really great. And they are so sweet with each other before, during, and after the fight. Well, maybe not during, but after the fight, with this mutual respect. And it was just like a love fest. And it just made me feel really proud to, also be in the mom club, but also I was just like proud of these young girls who went out and just threw down. Threw down. It's such a great fight, and we know Mackenzie's first fight back after the baby. People gave her some grief, and hopefully, Nina's able to just be like, fine, whatever. I got back, even though it didn't go my way. I feel good about coming back.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that too. Just the fact that Dern came back immediately after her pregnancy, got ran over by Rivas. And now you see Nina kind of getting the same thing. And I think this was the perfect time for Dern to fight Nina and win, because Nina wasn't like as sharp as she usually is. She was half a second behind. She didn't look like she had her footing under her after she would throw punches. And after that first little clinch up, like you could just see like the energy like drained out of her, like and a lot of it, like as a striker, I know like when you clinch up with a good grappler, like a lot of times like you get tight, you get like stressed out because you're like, oh no, they're gonna try to grab me, they're gonna try to drag me down to the ground, I gotta get them off of me. And like you're not like loose and moving like a grappler when they clinch up with another grappler. You're just like, oh no. And then immediately, like she defended it perfectly, the first takedown attempt up against the fence. But immediately after, she looked so drained. She looked so tired. Her punches were coming out slower. And when Mackenzie went for that second takedown, she got it like super easy. So I feel like it was hard for Nina to jump right back in there. Like, I think it had only been like 6 months since she gave birth to her baby girl. So, so yeah, I think it was just really tough to come in with such a tough matchups and just feel that anxiety and feel that like adrenaline dump and like I don't know, it just looked like she wasn't the same Nina that gave Tatiana Suarez a run for her money in the last round. So I definitely feel like it was the perfect time for Mackenzie to fight Nina because she's still really sloppy on the feet. She throws heat, but there's not much setup to it. Like Mackenzie is just going bah, so she can grab your legs. Like that's all she's doing, So I really, this was a good test for her, but I feel like she's gonna have trouble when she gets to the higher ranked strikers. Oh man, like it's gonna be harder to take them down, and it's gonna be harder not to get punched in the face while you're trying to do it. So I'm definitely impressed that she was able to just like grab her, take her down, and get that sub right before the bell. But I do think she's gonna get a lot of trouble when she gets to the top 5.
Well, I think Nina might have still been ranked number 3 is the thing, and that's the thing about the comeback fight for Nina is when you are that highly ranked, it's not like she can be like, "Hey, give me a chump for my warm-up fight." Like you just can't,
Exactly.
right? So tough luck for you. You're going to fight a contender, and you're going to fight somebody who's hungry and with a lot more momentum. So I think for Nina, she just was kind of in a tough spot because there's not like an easy fight for her, when she's that highly ranked. And for Mackenzie, her hands are coming along. She's working with Jason Perillo, and she's definitely getting better at that. But of course, the bread and butter, is jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's fun. It's kind of like how with Ronda, when it was like, is she going to get a sub? I think, we're all kidding ourselves if we say we're watching a Mackenzie fight and we don't want to see a submission. Like, we do. I'm sure she probably can't wait till she, knock somebody out, right? Because she's used to submitting people and she's probably dying for a KO. But like when you see a specialist do what they do, you just kind of want to see them do it. So I feel bad for her victims, but I feel like when I watch Mackenzie, I want to see some subs.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's you. I just want to punch her. But she seems like a nice girl, so like
she
only
is a
in
very
the
nice
cage,
girl.
not in normal life.
Yes, not a normal life.
Exactly.
Yeah, she is a nice girl. So was there anything else? I know Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis is back. Julian Marquez got fight of the night with Sam Alvey.
That was pretty cool. He was just piecing Alvey up. It was a good fight. It was a really good fight, and Marquez. He's just really educated in striking. Like he's like for a grappler because he's a grappler, right?
Julian, from Kansas City, if he's working with Krause, but he's not really. I don't know what he came from before.
Okay. I feel like he's like listed as a grappler, but he looked like a striker.
I was gonna say he seems like he strikes more, and
he's loose and like he's training with Krause, so that's why he's switching stance and
that's what I'm saying. The Krause guys aren't known to be wrestlers, so
he looked really good. He looked smooth out there, and Alvey is infamous for creating weird situations for the people he fights. Like even when he's the underdog, he always finds a way to land that power punch and just wobble him and make it a tougher fight. But Julian was on top of things. He was moving out the way. He was hitting, getting out the way, and then coming back with hard punches. Like he just looked awesome out there. And then it was cool when he got that like finishing combination right before the sub. And he's just like, at first I was like, wait, is he in the? Oh no, he switched stance and he threw a left cross, not a right. Oh my God, it's crazy. It's pandemonium. Like I can just imagine like Alvy's confusion. Like it was cool to watch. It was cool to see someone just pick someone apart like that. Unfortunately, it was Sam Alvey.
Yeah, sorry, bro.
Smiling all the time, but yeah, he dropped him, put him to sleep. It was awesome.
It was funny too because my daughter was watching that one with me, and I'm like, "Hey, baby girl." He's really into Miley Cyrus. I'm like, he's trying to, and I was telling her about his call out last time. Yeah, Julian's just a good guy. I was showing her some of his social media. If people don't follow Julian, he's very funny. He does some funny stuff on his Instagram where he kind of blacks out, like he blurs where his shorts are, like, so he'll go roller skating around Vegas, and he'll post pictures where he blurs out his pants so it looks like he was roller skating around naked. He just does silly stuff like that. It's just he's funny on social media, and he had that long break with injury and was gone for a couple years, and then was supposed to come back, and then the guy got COVID or whatever, and so that got postponed. And so Julian is definitely making up for lost. Yeah, he's making up for lost time, but it's he's fun. He's fun to watch on social media. One thing my disk space is almost full on my computer. Oh no, I think we'll be okay for today though. But yeah, so one thing I wanted to ask you about is with Mike Perry. So he didn't win his fight. D-Rod was looking amazing. Daniel Rodriguez, who's trained by my buddy Joe Schilling. And, they were talking about the mushroom kick. I don't know if you heard that part where Joe was like, remember when we were on the BMF ranch doing mushrooms? They came up with this whole kick thing. It's kind of funny. But anyway, Joe stitched him up. Great guy. And D-Rod was just looking really, really sharp. His jab was working just... Everything was really working well for him. First time we saw D-Rod, he came in against Miles Jury, and it was like a last minute. He was short notice and knocked him out, and he was like, this is the first time I've had a real camp, and I look really good, and he feels really good. My question to you was about Mike Perry, because he admitted after. He said, hey, I guess I need a coach. Like, I thought I was doing well. I thought I had this, that, and the other thing. I gotta fix stuff. Darren Till actually invited him over to train. Which is interesting. They have a funny backstory, but Angela, like, a lot of us have thought that Mike Perry really needs a coach, and it's like Mike Perry's his own worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah. I think everyone needs a coach. I'm not going to tell myself, hey, Angela, wake up at 8 a.m., go hit sprints, then you have a sparring session later on that day, then go to wrestling class somewhere. Like, I'm not going to tell myself that. Like, nobody wants to do that, and also, you don't see yourself. Like, I could be really, like, into some move that I did in sparring that didn't really do anything. And my coaches are going to be able to watch me spar and say, hey, you know what was actually working? This, and this. So a lot of times we're doing things and we don't realize what's working the best and what's getting the reaction and what is just what's just a point, and in order to, like, come up with a good game plan, it has to be a team effort. Imagine anything, like, imagine a trivia game where it's one person on one team and then 5 people on another. Those 5 people are going to come up with more answers, usually, than that one guy. And that's what an MMA team is. You have a wrestling coach, a BJJ coach, a striking coach, maybe even 2 striking coaches, like a Muay Thai and a boxing guy, an everything guy, a head coach. Like, you have all these people together that are figuring out the best way for you to beat someone's ass. And if you're just doing it yourself, then you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage. So it's like brain steroids, right? Like, you get all these people telling your brain, like, okay, these are the things that are going to work against this guy. And if you only have yourself, then you're going in there with, like, not as many tricks up your sleeve. So it's definitely an important part of fighting. Like, you can get away with it, like, in the bush leagues or, I don't know, in street fighting or whatever. But you can't get away with it when you're fighting someone who pays people to do that, pays people to do research and to figure out the best way to beat someone and what you're good at and what you're not good at, what you need to fix and where you need to go to fix it. Like, that's a lot of work. Like, it's a full-time job. So yes, Mike Perry, if he wants to get better, he needs a coach. And it's really funny that Darren Till offered for him to come to his camp. I feel like Darren Till is one of the most genuine human beings in MMA.
Yeah.
Like, he talks mad shit, but when someone's genuinely like, oh, hey, I need some help, he's like, hey, I talk bad shit about you, but, you can come train here. Like, that, I think that's really cool. And he might have been trolling, but I feel like if Perry actually showed up, he'd embrace him with open arms. So I think that's really, really funny and really one of those sweet things that you see every now and then with MMA. A lot of times you just think MMA is, like, all brutal and horrible and everyone's selfish. But, like, a lot of times, like, people just want to help out and want the best for each other.
Right. Yeah, well, their backstory, for people who don't know, Darren is from Liverpool. Liverpudlians have a very thick accent,
Yeah.
and Mike Perry is from Detroit, right, but lives in Florida or whatever. So anyway, there was an exchange one time when Mike was asking Darren if he wanted to spar, and Darren thought Mike meant, do you want to go to the spa? And so there's
Yeah.
a very funny clip of them going, spa, spa, spa. Oh, mate, Fook, I thought you wanted to hit the spa and have a sweat. It's very funny. But I agree with you about Darren and his authenticity and his willingness to be very real. The fighter meeting we had with him in on Fight Island, he was talking a lot about how dealing with haters and just putting his own vulnerabilities out there and knowing, like, look, yeah, when he's lost, when he's been real down sometimes. There's been things that were supposed to go his way, he didn't. He's lost major fights. He got knocked out. I was at that one at the O2. It was supposed to be the Darren Till show, so he's had the quote unquote worst things happen to him in fighting, and lived through it. And he's very, very, very real about, just life stuff. So yeah, I agree with you on that. And so he put the offer out. And I think that would be amazing if he did, because team. Well, what's that?
Do you hear that?
Yes, it's my phone ringing.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't want to take that call right now.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. I thought I had put it on silent. But so he and that's the whole thing. Darren comes from a great team Calbon, right? So his head coach is great. Also, for people who are watching, Tom Aspinall right now, that heavyweight who is the mini Frank Mir, but Tom Aspinall is his teammate. Mike Grundy, great wrestler. So there are great people over there. And Darren put a really nice, I think, very heartfelt message, like, come, we'll look after you. And he said, I know it's because of my team that I found this success. And so I do think it would be incredible. I don't know if Mike will really go over to England and all that or what. But I loved seeing that offer extended from Darren to Mike, because I thought that was great. And I think that we've seen a lot of times where, fighters, they do need help, and maybe they are afraid of asking for it. And I think a lot of things that have happened with Mike getting in trouble with the law, we've seen bar fights, we've seen a lot of different things from him, even just the drama with the Platinum Princess and his new girl and the baby and all this stuff. And a lot of people, I think a lot of times, thought Mike has been in a situation where he really was asking for help, and we were all kind of laughing at him or whatever. And it's like, well, maybe this guy really needs help, because I don't think he's a bad guy. I've done some stuff with him, like working with Submission Underground and stuff like that. And I don't think Mike's a bad guy. I don't think he should use the N-word. I don't even use it, but I don't think he should do that. But I don't think he's a bad dude.
No, I don't think he's a bad guy either. I do think he's a little stupid at times. But a lot of times that is also a cry for help. That's also not having the right people in your corner, like you don't have the right people saying, hey, don't say that. Hey, you need to get to work. Hey, you need to get your girlfriend out of the fucking corner and pay attention. Like you need someone to sit you down and say that. And I don't think he had any friends around him who were telling him the right things. And you see that a lot, especially once you get to the big stage. You almost feel like, all right, I did it, and sometimes you do it on your own. Sometimes you do it just messing people up in the gym and then showing up to a fight, and then you get signed and you just luck out, and then you're like, hey, I guess I don't need anyone because I did it on my damn self. But the fact is, like, the bigger of a name you become, the more yes men appear, and the more people tell you what you want to hear, and you don't get someone telling you what you actually need to hear, which is probably what you don't want to hear.
Exactly.
So that's a lot, but yeah, you
true.
get what I'm saying, like. And it's so important. It's so important to have that around you. So yes, I think if he went to Liverpool, they'd be very blunt. I think they would tell him, you suck at this. You're good at these things, but you fucking suck at this.
Right.
So you need to work on it if you want to do good in your next fight. And I think he would enjoy it out there. Like, I've always enjoyed, like all my British friends, like their sense of humor. Like, I think you'd have fun out there. So I'm totally down for Perry going out to Britain. Just just tell him not to use any of those British slurs on camera.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. I think it would be really cool for him to go there as well. And yeah, and yeah. Mike is an interesting character, but yeah. So, Ange, I'm glad I remembered this. We're at the 44-minute mark. Somebody asked a question on the YouTube. As I mentioned, our show is on my Karyn Bryant YouTube channel, on Angie Overkill Hill's IGTV, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and what's Apple Podcasts, right? For what had happened was. So a very interesting question came in, and I'm glad I just remembered this because somebody had asked about eye pokes. And they said, luckily last weekend we didn't really get any, I don't think. And the question was really good. I was like, that's such a good question. They said, how come we don't see as many eye pokes in the women's fights as we do in the men's? We've seen how many main events, the most recent with Bilal and Leon, stopped by eye pokes. We've seen all kinds of things. And you see in so many times the fighters are getting warned about their fingers. You can have them like this, not like this, not like this, not like this. But you really very rarely see an eye poke situation in the women's fight. So why are you guys so much better, Angie?
Man, that's a tough one. I mean, it could be in a lot of things. I never really thought about it.
I never thought about it too until this person asked, and then I was like, oh my God, you're right.
I mean, I think in general, girls follow the rules better than guys do. Like,
probably.
Like if someone, like in my last fight, the ref warned me to keep my hands because I think I was here, and he said hands, fingers point somewhere. I forget what he said, but it was very direct, and I was just like, So I feel like girls do in general follow the rules better than guys. Like, you got to give a specific direction, so you can't be vague with women. Like, we have this wrestling drill that we do at Alliance, and our coach Eric will just like go through the rules like in the most vague way. We'll go one person in, two people come in and wrestle, and then you switch, and then blah blah blah. So all the guys start doing whatever they think the drill is, and then the girls are like, so. And then who switches? Which person is first? Like, we got to know the details. So when you explain, like, okay, make sure your hands are either up or here, but not here, I feel like girls go, okay, up or here, not here, and then we do it. So maybe that's it. It could also be just sheer number of guy fights compared to girl fights. Like, there's more weight classes, there's more fighters. So it could just be that reason. There's more opportunities for people to poke each other in the eye, guys. But I do think it might be the rule thing. Another thing is, I don't know, maybe because like a lot of girls paint their nails, so you can see it coming.
That's interesting. You might be right.
Yeah, you can see like a little red like coming at you, and you're like, ah. So that could be it too. I don't know. I think it's more the rule thing though, and maybe you don't have as many girls pushing off of the face. Like it's kind of it's like a Muay Thai thing, right? You don't really do that in boxing where you push the face and then hit. Like, it's a Muay Thai thing where you post on the face, and usually you're doing it in a boxing glove. And I feel like that's where most of the eye pokes happen, when you're posting on the face and then like either punching or posting on the face to like change your level and do something like that, or just to get them off of you if they're shooting on you. And that's where you get a lot of the eye pokes, is when the person's like reaching out the post and then the finger goes in the eye while they post. So it could be the fact that a lot of girls don't have that training too. Like I feel like the majority of women coming in have strong jiu-jitsu backgrounds and wrestling backgrounds, and not really like Muay Thai backgrounds. So I don't know. I could speculate forever, but the truth of the matter is, I don't fucking know. Yeah,
I don't know either, but it's funny because I do think you're bringing up a lot of good points, and yes, a lot of it could just be statistics, right? Because let's say it happens in 1 out of 10 men's fights, it just takes longer to get 10 women's fights to find that one thing. But I also think, Angie, let's not, I don't want to criticize, but we know that some girls have been critiqued for punching the crap out of the air 2 inches in front of their opponent's face, right? Like, so I know a lot of time, people they have their hands out with their range finding, and yeah, the refs will say range find like this and not like this, but maybe it's just a situation that some women are not engaging as much even, or in the right range even to make it happen.
Yeah, we're either in or we're out. We're not like in the striking range hanging out there. Like, I like to hang out in the striking range. So like, just dare them to punch me like I'm just right here. But yeah, a lot of girls, they'll be punching from all the way out here. It's just like, bitch, like, that doesn't count. But the judges don't know what they're looking at. So they're like, oh, 1, 2, 3 punches landed. I know a few. Michelle.
Yeah, I've seen it. Like, she punched the crap out of those 2 inches in front.
Dude, the air was dead. Air was KO'd. TKO by air. So yeah, I think it could be all those things for sure.
Okay, so listen, before we get out of here, we got a few minutes left. It's like we're at the 50-minute mark. You are going to Vegas tomorrow. I am going on Thursday. This weekend with the Whittaker Gastelum fight. Yeah, we also will be over there because I'll be working. I'm actually not sure who's with. I know Alan Joban, for folks if they're like, I miss the MMA Heat podcast. My boy Alan Joban will be at the desk with me on Friday and Saturday. I forget. I'm not sure who else is with us. I texted Bisping. I'm like, Mike, are you at the desk with us? He's calling the fight, so it's not Bisping at the desk, so maybe we get Paulie Paul. Okay. I'm not even sure who. We have like the rotating thing because I don't think it'll be Anthony because he's fighting in 2 weeks. So maybe it'll be Rashad. Maybe it'll be Rashad. That was me, Rashad, and Alan one time before, which is really great. But you will be there cornering Jessica Penne. And Jessica finally is coming back. She was supposed to come back a couple weeks ago. Hannah Goldie had a COVID situation. And now Hannah's not even in the fight. So what's going on?
Yeah. What happened with Hannah was that that hoe. No, she's a nice girl, but she is huge. Have you seen how big she is? I really wanted to walk by her in person when we were in Vegas, but I didn't see her at all. But of course, I was creeping on her Instagram because she has a lot of scandalous pictures.
Oh, does she?
Dude, yeah, she's part of the MMA OnlyFans crew.
Oh,
yeah, so that would have been OnlyFans versus OnlyFans.
I didn't know that. Okay,
but yeah, so Hannah Goldie is huge. She looked really sucked out and veiny, and I'm sure she wasn't even close to like 115 yet. And she ended up getting COVID. She had to pull. Then she couldn't make the weight, so she wanted to do a catch weight because of COVID complications. We said no because like she's already huge to begin with.
And Jess used to fight at 105 for people who don't know. So the fact is that Jess should not be fighting big girls.
No, she is the 105 atomweight champion, former 105 atomweight champion in Invicta. That's 105 pounds. So yeah, she shouldn't have been fighting a huge girl anyway. And so we didn't want her to fight her at a catchweight because Hannah Goldie is big and strong, and that would be the easiest way to give her an advantage. And then it turned out that she had to pull completely because of COVID complications. But I don't think she's a strawweight. I think that she needs to either lose some muscle or go up to 125. It reminded me a lot of Justine on Tough. Like, Justine had a really hard time making 115. She made it like maybe 1 or 2 times after the show, but she actually got injured running so much. She was running every day, running miles and miles and miles every day in a sauna suit just to be close to weight so she could fight on top, and ended up blowing her knee out because of all that stress. So I really I always stress to people who cut so much weight, like, dude, just go up a weight class. It's not that scary fighting people a little bit bigger. You're going to feel healthier. You're going to feel stronger, and your chin's going to be in better shape, and your body is going to last longer. Like, you'll be able to go to training the entire year. Like, I feel like the main reason I can take fight short notice is because I don't get injured a lot. Knock on wood again. But I don't get injured a lot because I'm always like at a comfortable weight where I have like my muscles aren't dehydrated, my ligaments have water in them, I'm not dehydrating myself constantly just to just to be like 30 pounds lighter than I normally am. So I really feel like cutting that much weight is bad for you. It's unhealthy, and you're gonna end up missing weight and pulling out of fights a lot. So she's not like Mackenzie, where she just looks like she has a lot of fluff and she has like extra like pudginess to lose. Like, she is veiny and her muscles are dehydrated, and it's scary to see. Like, I remember when photos came out of that guy who died cutting weight, and dude, you could see like the striations, is that what you call it, in the muscles, like, because there was literally no water in him. It was just muscle and skin. And like, I just feel like it's a really unhealthy thing to do to your body. And if you're looking for longevity in your MMA career, you should just fight at a higher weight class. And
well, with that said, Angela, we should wrap up the show. But as a reminder, is just the featured prelim. I'm trying to remember where her fight is on the card.
I can look right now.
I can't remember, but we will have UFC Live. Yeah, UFC Live on ESPN2 on Friday. Then we have the pre-show on ESPN Plus. Then, of course, I do the post-show and all that on Saturday on ESPN Plus. And Angela will be there cornering Miss Jessica Penne, which will be great. And so to follow me.
And also, Jeremy Stevens is on the card.
That's right.
Yeah, Jeremy's fighting Jakar Close.
Oh, that'll be good. Oh, someone's getting KTFO.
Yeah, I'm gonna be so stressed that day.
That'll be stressful. But those are two knockout guys, so that'll be really fun. So on Instagram, I'm KB Heat. On YouTube, it's Karyn Bryant, Karyn. Bryant like Kobe, no relation, but may he rest in peace. So once again, the show is on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and on iHeartRadio. Angela's IGTV. So Angie, where can people find you?
At Angie Overkill on Twitter and Instagram, and Overkill Hill on TikTok.
Nice. And so yes, look for What Had Happened Was, and bam,
I did it.
And hey, maybe we'll even do we should do one Saturday night after the show. We should just do it like in the week. Maybe we'll do it in the Fighter Hotel with Jess. Even that'd be fun. Yeah, well, I can't because I'm in camp. But you guys can do it. That's right. You're in camp. Oh. Okay. Well, look I'm having a what do you call it? Just a water tonight. I'm in camp with you. So here we go. I didn't want to make you feel bad. So. Thanks. I appreciate awesome. It. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're looking at this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. And I guess we'll see you on the next one, right? See ya.